Hello Dub Nation, it's always a thrill to connect with you, especially as we're about to reveal the latest news that could shape the fate of our beloved Golden State Warriors. But before we dive into this whirlwind of information, let me make a friendly request. Show us some love by clicking the like button to strengthen our bond, and hey, if you are not subscribed yet, join our channel for a thrilling and emotional journey. Don't forget to turn on notifications to stay ahead of the game.
The Warriors' blueprint for surviving without Stephen Curry might already be right in front of them. The real question is, can they lean on it consistently? Golden State finds itself in a difficult stretch, trying to win games without Curry, who remains sidelined with a thigh injury. But Saturday's matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans offered a glimpse of the solution, and it came from the player the Warriors acquired for moments exactly like this. Jimmy Butler delivered the performance Golden State desperately needed. In many ways, he played the role the front office envisioned when they made the bold move for the six-time All-Star last season. Butler took control, dictated the tempo, and became the engine of the Warriors' offense for long stretches. And that's precisely what the team needs from him with Curry out. Butler finished the night making 7 of his 15 shots and putting up 24 points, along with 8 rebounds and 10 assists in a hard-fought 37 minutes. He also attacked the free throw line relentlessly, hitting 10 of 14 attempts, a part of his game that often gets overlooked but remains one of his most valuable weapons. It's easy to say the Warriors will be fine as long as Butler performs at this level. But that thought also underscores just how essential he is right now. Butler is one of the few players in the league who can completely take over a game, bend a defense to his will, and elevate the IQ of every possession. Still, one strong performance against the Pelicans doesn't erase the Warriors' broader concerns, not when their next opponent is the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that looks nearly unstoppable at the moment. If Golden State wants any chance at an upset, Butler will need to replicate the same intensity and control he showed on Saturday. Even then, he can't win this one alone. Against a powerhouse like OKC, Butler will need real help. The Warriors will need a collective effort, and likely a subpar shooting night from the Thunder, to keep the game within reach. But even if Golden State falls short, this stretch may still reveal something important, a clearer identity for how the Warriors can function without Curry. Even when the 37-year-old superstar returns, the team must address a long-standing issue: how to survive the minutes when Curry is on the bench. This has been one of the Warriors' biggest challenges for years. Their offensive system is so intertwined with Curry's gravity that the team often struggles to generate consistent production when he's off the floor. That's where Butler comes in. He's the player who must shoulder the responsibility, but this injury period could help Golden State discover combinations and rotations that actually work without their best player on the court. If they can find that formula now, it might be the most valuable development of their season, one that pays off long after Curry is healthy again. The coaching staff knows it too. In recent practices, Steve Kerr and his assistants have reportedly shifted their focus toward building offensive sets that rely less on Curry's off-ball movement and more on Butler's isolation playmaking and post-up creation. It's a stylistic adjustment the Warriors have rarely leaned into, but one that might become essential if they hope to stay afloat in a crowded Western Conference. Players inside the locker room have also acknowledged the shift. Several teammates privately noted that Butler has become increasingly vocal in huddles and walkthroughs, taking on responsibilities usually associated with Curry or Draymond Green. His willingness to step into that leadership vacuum has not gone unnoticed, especially among the younger players who have struggled at times with consistency. Golden State's front office, meanwhile, is watching this stretch closely. With the trade deadline still months away, team executives are evaluating whether the Butler-led version of the Warriors can remain competitive in Curry's absence, or whether roster adjustments may be needed. While no major moves are imminent, this sample size could influence their long-term vision for how the team evolves beyond Curry's most dominant years. League observers have taken notice as well. Analysts on national panels have pointed out that Butler's arrival last season was always meant to be a safeguard for the future, a player capable of carrying offensive responsibility when Curry inevitably missed stretches of time. But the Warriors are now living through the scenario they hope to avoid, a moment when both Curry's health and the team's identity feel fragile. Still, there is cautious optimism. The Warriors have historically been at their best when forced to adapt, and early signs suggest that Butler's presence may offer a blueprint they've been searching for since Kevin Durant's departure. If Butler can anchor the offense, even for short bursts, it frees players like Andrew Wiggins, Brandon Podziemski, and Jonathan Kuminga to operate in more complementary roles, areas where they tend to thrive rather than force shots out of necessity. Defensively, Golden State is also learning how to adjust. With Curry sidelined, The Warriors have leaned more heavily on switch-heavy schemes designed to leverage Butler's physicality and versatility. While the results have been inconsistent, coaching staff members have quietly praised the team's effort and attention to detail, noting that several defensive sequences against New Orleans were among their best stretches of the season. But ultimately, everything comes back to one question. Can Butler sustain this level of play long enough for the Warriors to remain competitive? The veteran forward has shown he's capable of carrying a heavy load, but at 36 years old, no one inside the organization wants to push him beyond a safe threshold. Golden State understands the risk of over-reliance, a lesson they've learned multiple times over the past few seasons. Managing Butler's minutes, while still depending on him to organize the offense, could be one of the toughest balancing acts Kerr faces this year. The coming weeks will reveal whether the Warriors can truly survive, or even stabilize, without Curry. But if their win over the Pelicans showed anything, it's that the foundation of their plan is already in place. They just need to find the discipline, health, and support around Butler to make it more than a one-night blueprint. And if they do, this stretch without Curry might be remembered not as a setback, but as the turning point of their season. The Warriors may have quietly found an unexpectedly strong trade target after signing Seth Curry. With Golden State now adding even more depth to its backcourt, thanks to Curry's arrival and the looming return of DeAnthony Melton, it's becoming increasingly clear that the team will need to make a move to rebalance the roster. Steve Kerr's preference for smaller lineups means the Warriors shouldn't be chasing traditional centers unless they're clear-cut, 30-minute-per-night starters. That leaves the wing positions as the most logical area to upgrade. And in that search, Najee Marshall stands out as a surprisingly appealing trade option. Affordable, productive, and potentially available if the Dallas Mavericks decide to retool their roster. Najee Marshall could be a sneaky good trade target for Golden State. Marshall has been a reliable two-way contributor for the Mavericks since signing in the 2024 offseason, but he may not be an ideal fit for the Cooper Flag era if Dallas goes all in on restructuring its roster, especially with trade rumors linking the team to a blockbuster move involving Anthony Davis. While some national analysts have floated the Warriors as a potential landing spot for Davis, Marshall represents a far more realistic, and far less risky, option for a team trying to build a winning core around Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. This season, Marshall is averaging 12.1 points, 5.2 rebounds and 2.3 assists in 26.9 minutes per game, numbers that closely mirror his production from last year. At 27, he isn't a major threat from beyond the arc, but he attacks the paint efficiently, something the current Warriors roster sorely lacks. Marshall is in the second year of a 3-year $27 million contract, a salary that happens to closely match that of Golden State guard Buddy Hield, who has faced growing criticism for his inconsistent play. Any deal would likely require a third team, since Dallas is above the first tax apron and cannot take back more money. Still, swapping Hield for Marshall could make real sense for the Warriors. A move like this would help Golden State maintain defensive toughness and lineup versatility, especially if Hield slides further down the rotation once Melton and Curry return. It could also give the team another reliable wing option if the front office decides to explore trade scenarios involving Jonathan Kuminga, who becomes eligible to be moved on January 15th. The Warriors could still aim bigger, packaging Hield's contract with Kuminga and draft capital in pursuit of a star. But if the front office prefers lower-cost, lower-risk upgrades, Marshall might be one of the smartest targets available, and one who fits the roster's needs without compromising future flexibility. Even so, internal conversations around the league suggest that Golden State's front office is quietly preparing for multiple scenarios. One of them involves testing the market to understand just how much value Marshall could command if the Warriors were to acquire him. Executives from several Western Conference teams have reportedly acknowledged that Marshall's combination of size, defensive versatility, and downhill scoring is exactly the type of profile that tends to become even more valuable in the postseason, when matchups tighten and role players often decide series. That dynamic alone could influence the Warriors' aggression on the trade market. For the first time in years, Golden State is balancing two timelines, maximizing Stephen Curry's championship window while also ensuring the roster is competitive enough to support Jimmy Butler's demanding style of play. Adding a reliable wing like Marshall, someone who doesn't need the ball, thrives defensively, and brings a physical drive-first mentality, could stabilize the team's identity, which has fluctuated throughout the early months of the season. There are also growing concerns within the organization about the long-term consistency of the bench unit. While the arrival of Seth Curry brings shooting and familiarity with the Warriors system, it doesn't automatically solve the spacing and physicality issues that have repeatedly surfaced against larger, more athletic opponents. Marshall's presence could shift that balance, giving Golden State a dependable option who can guard up, attack mismatches, and contribute without compromising the team's small ball style. League insiders also believe that acquiring a player like Marshall could signal something deeper about the Warriors' intentions. It would indicate that Golden State is more interested in building a rugged, defensively resilient supporting cast, rather than chasing another star at the expense of depth. In today's league, where injuries and fatigue often reshape the postseason, this strategy has proven to be just as effective as top-heavy roster construction. For Dallas, any movement involving Marshall could spark its own ripple effects. If the Mavericks decide to retool around their young core, moving him could open cap flexibility and accelerate a larger reshaping of the roster. That, in turn, might nudge other Western Conference teams to reassess their own trade priorities before the market becomes overly aggressive. As the Warriors monitor these developments, the clock continues to tick toward mid-January, when Jonathan Kuminga becomes eligible to be moved. His future will likely dictate everything else the franchise does. But with names like Najee Marshall emerging as attainable, impactful targets, Golden State may find itself forced to choose between the allure of a blockbuster swing and the pragmatism of building a deeper, sturdier rotation. Either path carries consequences, but one thing is clear: the signing of Seth Curry and the impending return of Melton have reshaped the Warriors roster in a way that demands action. Whether that leads them to Marshall, or someone else entirely, could define the remainder of their season. Steve Kerr has delivered a worrying update on Jimmy Butler's injury status, and for a battered Golden State Warriors squad, this might be the last thing they needed. With Stephen Curry already sidelined, the Warriors are navigating a rough stretch at a moment when they can least afford setbacks. Draymond Green is also reportedly playing through pain, leaving the bulk of the responsibility on Jimmy Butler's shoulders. But Dub Nation may now be bracing for yet another blow, this time involving their newest leader. Butler took a nasty fall in the Warriors' recent matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans. Midway through the second quarter, he crashed to the hardwood after attempting an alley-oop while tightly contested by Micah Peavy. He tried to get up right away, but the pain was written all over his face. He limped noticeably as he made his way back to his feet. Despite the scare, Butler pushed through and delivered a stellar performance: 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists. His effort was crucial in Golden State's 104-96 win over the Pelicans, a much-needed victory for a team already fighting through adversity. But the real concern came after the game, when Steve Kerr addressed Butler's condition. And his update didn't exactly calm anyone's nerves. "I'm sure he's going to be sore tomorrow," Kerr told reporters. "I asked him when it happened, what hurts? And he said, everything." Kerr tried to lighten the mood with a joke, adding, "I told him, same here. I'm 60, everything hurts on me too." He praised Butler's toughness and his impact on the win, but avoided offering specifics about the severity of the injury. Fortunately for Golden State, the team has a few days without games, giving Butler some valuable time to recover. Still, the worst-case scenario looms large, losing both Butler and Curry at the same time. For a Warriors team that's already had an up-and-down start to the season, that possibility could turn a challenging stretch into a crisis. But the conversation around Butler's fall didn't end with Kerr's cautious remarks. Within hours, analysts across the league began weighing in, highlighting how precarious Golden State's situation has become. With Curry already unavailable and Green far from full strength, the Warriors have relied heavily on Butler's physicality, leadership, and ability to stabilize the offense when things start to unravel. Former players on national panels noted that Butler's workload has quietly increased since Curry went down, especially in late-game situations where Golden State has struggled all season. The concern now is whether the team has unintentionally overextended him, a risk that becomes even greater given Butler's age and the demanding style of play he's known for. Internally, the Warriors are said to be monitoring Butler closely, but no formal evaluation has yet been shared with the public. Team staff emphasize that the next 48 hours will be critical in determining whether the veteran forward will be available for their upcoming stretch, which includes tough matchups against teams known for their physical play. The possibility of missing both Curry and Butler simultaneously has also raised questions about Golden State's depth. Players like Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, and Jonathan Kuminga may be pushed into larger roles earlier than expected, while Kerr may need to adjust the team's offensive structure to compensate for the absence of its primary shot creators. Around the league, rival coaches have quietly expressed sympathy, but also acknowledged that this is the kind of stretch that tests a franchise's resilience. The Warriors have long been known for overcoming adversity, But the cumulative toll of injuries this season has forced the organization to confront its limits in ways it hasn't experienced in years. Front office conversations have reportedly turned toward contingency planning as well, exploring short-term adjustments rather than major moves. Still, the uncertainty around Butler's availability has accelerated discussions that were initially expected to unfold later in the season. For now, the Warriors can only wait. Butler's determination to play through pain is well documented, but the franchise knows that pushing him too quickly could create a far larger problem down the line. The next update from the team's medical staff may determine whether Golden State can stabilize its season, or whether the challenges ahead will be even steeper than anyone anticipated. Kevin Looney has opened up about how he hopes to be remembered by the Golden State Warriors following his emotional return to the Bay. Before Saturday night's matchup between the Warriors and the New Orleans Pelicans, Looney was greeted with a warm tribute from the organization, a moment that clearly meant as much to him as it did to the franchise honoring him. For nearly a decade, Looney was woven into the fabric of the Warriors' identity. Drafted 30th overall in 2015, he became a key pillar in Golden State's championship runs in 2017, 2018, and 2022. Warriors fans still speak of him with admiration, viewing him as a true Bay Area legend. After 10 seasons with the organization, his playing time declined during the 2024-25 campaign, leading to his departure in the 2025 offseason. Looney signed a 2-year deal with the New Orleans Pelicans, reuniting with former Warrior Jordan Poole and beginning a new chapter in his career. Even so, the love from Golden State's fan base and staff never faded. His Pelicans team, considered an underdog, fell 104-96 to the Warriors, and Looney played just 10 minutes, but the night was far more about recognition than box scores. For Looney, his decade with the franchise still carries deep meaning. He was never the flashiest player, never the guy chasing headlines or gaudy stats. Instead, he earned respect by embracing the dirty work, fighting for rebounds, diving for loose balls, and executing the screen-heavy, detail-oriented offense Steve Kerr built. He became the Warriors' anchor in ways that rarely appear on highlight reels, but always mattered in winning moments. His return to Chase Center came with a heartfelt tribute. The Warriors held a press event and aired a commemorative video celebrating his contributions, a gesture that visibly touched Looney, who reflected on what he hopes his legacy in Golden State will be. "So many memories come back from my time here," Looney said before tip-off. "I just want to be remembered as a tough guy. Someone who showed up every night. A guy who brought his hard hat and never complained. Whatever they asked me to do, I tried to give everything I had. That's how I hope people remember me." For many in the Warriors' orbit, Looney will always represent the standard for the center position in their system. Over the years, Golden State has cycled through big men, but Looney's reliability, discipline, and basketball IQ made him a constant presence. His role eventually shrank, particularly during the 2024-25 season, as Quinton Post emerged as a key contributor and the team shifted to a rotation featuring Post, Tracy Jackson-Davis, and veteran Al Horford. The Warriors are satisfied with their current group, but there's an undeniable difference in energy and consistency compared to the Looney era, something that reminds fans how vital he truly was. Looney's journey with the Pelicans has been eventful. He suffered an injury shortly after joining the team, but he is healthy now and carving out a steady role behind standout rookie Derek Queen. While no longer a starter, he continues to bring the same effort and professionalism that defined his decade in Golden State. And if Saturday night proved anything, it's that the Warriors and their fans will always remember Kevin Looney exactly the way he hoped, as a Warrior in every sense of the word. Looney's departure, while handled with professionalism on all sides, has also sparked conversations among Warriors insiders about how the franchise manages long-tenured role players. Many within the organization acknowledge that phasing out Looney was one of the tougher decisions of the past few years, especially given his durability, team-first mentality, and strong presence in the locker room. Former teammates have openly expressed how much Looney meant to the group, both on and off the floor. Several players commented after the game that his voice was often one of the most respected during film sessions and team meetings. He was known as someone who understood Kerr's system as well as any player in the Steph Klay, Draymond era, and his ability to communicate defensive coverages and offensive spacing helped younger teammates develop more quickly. This is part of why his return resonated so deeply with the fan base. Many Warriors supporters see Looney as a bridge between the dynasty's peak years and the transitional phase the team is currently navigating. His consistency during volatile stretches of injuries, roster changes, and playoff battles created a sense of stability that is harder to define now that he's gone. For the Pelicans, Looney's veteran presence has been a welcome addition to a roster that leans heavily on youth and athleticism. Coaches have praised his professionalism and his willingness to mentor Derek Queen, who has quickly become one of the most promising young centers in the league. Although Looney's minutes remain limited, his influence behind the scenes has reportedly made an impact on the Pelicans' development culture. Around the league, Looney's reception in Golden State has sparked renewed appreciation for players whose value extends beyond traditional star metrics. Analysts on national platforms pointed out that Looney embodies a type of player every championship team needs, someone who sacrifices touches, embraces a physically demanding role, and stays ready regardless of shifting rotations or roster priorities. Even executives from other franchises commented privately that Looney's recognition was well-deserved, a reminder that longevity, loyalty, and consistency still matter in a league increasingly defined by trades and rapid roster turnover. Golden State, meanwhile, continues to adjust to life without one of its most dependable contributors. While the center rotation has stabilized with Post, Jackson Davis, and Horford, Kerr has acknowledged that Looney's combination of timing, physicality, and instincts cannot be replicated overnight. Much of the responsibility now falls on Post to maintain the defensive discipline and screening accuracy that Looney perfected over the years. As the season progresses, Warriors fans may find themselves comparing the current frontcourt's chemistry to the standard Looney set through his decade of service. And judging by the heartfelt ovation he received upon his return, that standard remains fresh in the memories of everyone at Chase Center. Gary Payton II reveals how Jimmy Butler is helping him elevate his game in Warriors practices. The Golden State Warriors have been searching for consistency all season long. With an 11-10 record nearly 6 weeks into the campaign, they currently sit 8th in the Western Conference, a spot that would force them into a play-in battle just to reach the playoffs. While Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler have delivered strong performances, several players haven't quite met expectations, including Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. But one Warrior has quietly taken a meaningful leap, Gary Payton II. And according to him, Jimmy Butler has played a major role in that improvement. Gary Payton II's one-on-one battles with Jimmy Butler are shaping his game. Payton's stats have never told the full story, and this season is no different. He's averaging just 3.9 points in 11.8 minutes per game. Yet his contributions go far beyond scoring. Payton remains one of the Warriors' most versatile and disruptive defenders, capable of guarding point guards, wings, and even bigs when needed. But Payton says Butler is taking his defensive growth to another level. Speaking with the dunker spot, the 32-year-old revealed how guarding Butler one-on-one in practice has sharpened his ability to defend players who thrive inside the paint. One night it might be Ja Morant. The next, it could be Lauri Markkanen, Payton explained. I've just got to stay locked in. It could be a big guy, I might have to pick up a center. He added that his role is simple, whatever the coaching staff asks of him, he'll do. I just play within what they need and try to shut down parts of the other team's game plan. But it's Butler, with his physical post-ups and relentless attacks, who is giving Payton the toughest and most valuable reps. Some guys rely a lot on their back-to-the-basket game, like Jimmy. I go one-on-one with him, and that helps a lot when I'm in those matchups where it's just a battle inside. Still, Payton made it clear that defense is a team effort. Take last night, for example, when we needed to stay glued to Markkanen. Everyone helped by being in the right spots and keeping him from getting easy looks. Jimmy Butler determined to play versus Thunder despite injury scare. Butler gave Warriors fans a brief scare on Saturday after taking a hard fall in the second quarter against the Pelicans. Although he stayed in the game, many wondered whether he'd be ready for Tuesday's matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But Butler quickly put those doubts to rest. I'm good. I'm gonna be fine. I've got plenty of protection back there. That was all it was, he told Anthony Slater. And he made one thing clear, he wants to play. We'll see, but I hope so. I want to play basketball. I love stepping on the court and competing with these guys, and I think we've got something special. So let's go out there Tuesday and show it. The Warriors hope Butler's toughness can set the tone for a roster still trying to rediscover its identity. His presence alone has shifted the locker room dynamic, giving Golden State a second star capable of demanding accountability on both ends of the floor, something the team has lacked in recent seasons. Yet his intensity in practice does more than raise the standard. It creates a ripple effect across the rotation, especially among role players like Payton II, who rely on defensive versatility to earn minutes. Team insiders say Butler's competitive approach has fueled some of the Warriors' most physical scrimmages in years, pushing younger players such as Kuminga and Moses Moody to adapt quickly or risk losing ground in the rotation. Kuminga, in particular, has been under increased scrutiny. After entering the season with expectations of becoming a breakout scorer, he has struggled to find consistent rhythm. Coaches believe Butler's arrival, and the defensive matchups that come from it, could serve as a turning point for Kuminga, who has the athletic tools but is still learning how to read complex NBA defenses. Veterans inside the locker room have echoed that sentiment. According to team sources, several players have privately noted that Butler's voice has become one of the dominant presences in film sessions, often challenging teammates to make quicker decisions and communicate more effectively. That approach has resonated with Payton II, who thrives in chaos but appreciates the structure Butler brings. Meanwhile, the Warriors' coaching staff is carefully navigating the delicate balance of embracing Butler's competitive fire while managing the increased physicality of practices. The organization is fully aware that the margin for error this season is slim, especially as the Western Conference grows more crowded. Golden State's 8th-place position means any regression could push them into the bottom half of the standings, where a single losing streak can jeopardize postseason hopes. Butler's potential absence on Tuesday would have been a significant blow considering the Thunder's explosive offense. Oklahoma City has become one of the toughest teams to guard in transition, led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's efficient scoring and Jalen Williams' growing versatility. For the Warriors, having Butler available means not only adding a defensive anchor but also stabilizing the lineup during key stretches. For now, there is quiet optimism inside the organization. Payton's expanded confidence, Butler's leadership, and a slightly improving defensive rating offer signs that Golden State may be inching toward a more cohesive identity. But until that consistency appears in the win column, the pressure will remain. The coming stretch, including matchups against the Thunder, Mavericks, and Suns, could determine whether the Warriors are climbing toward contention or bracing for another season defined by unpredictability. And for players like Payton II, every practice battle with Butler isn't just preparation. It's a reminder of what the Warriors expect to become again. A team defined by intensity, detail, and relentless competitive edge. The Warriors player who should be worried about Seth Curry's imminent signing. Seth Curry is finally set to suit up alongside his brother in a Golden State Warriors uniform, a moment fans have imagined for years. According to Shams Charania, the Warriors are finalizing a deal to keep Seth for the remainder of the season, effective December 1st. It marks a historic milestone, the first time the Curry brothers will play as NBA teammates. Seth originally joined Golden State on an Exhibit 9 contract during training camp, but due to tight financial restraints, the team couldn't convert it to a guaranteed deal until now. Because the Warriors are operating under second apron restrictions, they were forced to carry only 14 players to begin the season, waiting to accumulate the prorated salary space needed to fill the 15th roster spot, now reserved for Seth Curry. And his arrival could have major consequences for at least one player in Golden State's rotation. Seth Curry's presence puts pressure on an already crowded backcourt. By signing Seth, the Warriors are adding yet another elite shooter to a team built around spacing and precision. Across his career, Seth has knocked down 945 threes at a blistering 43.3%, the 7th highest three-point percentage in NBA history. Last season, he led the entire league with a scorching 45.6% from deep. That level of efficiency doesn't just strengthen Golden State's offense, it potentially reshapes their guard rotation. The most obvious player affected? Buddy Hield. Yes, Seth's presence could also reduce minutes for rookie Will Richard under normal circumstances. But Richard has exceeded expectations. He has started 8 games, averaged 8.4 points in 18.4 minutes, and shot a reliable 38.7% from 3. He plays within the system, competes defensively, and has earned the trust of the coaching staff. Hield, meanwhile, has struggled to find his rhythm. Buddy Hield's slump comes at the worst possible time. Once regarded as one of the game's premier shooters, Hield is averaging just 7.2 points in 17.5 minutes per game this season. His efficiency has dipped sharply, only 30.8% from beyond the arc, far below his career norm. His turnovers have also become a concern, 1.1 per game, the highest among Warriors rotation players logging fewer than 20 minutes per night. With those numbers, it's difficult to ignore the contrast. Seth Curry averaged 6.5 points with only 0.5 turnovers per game for the Charlotte Hornets last season, all while maintaining his trademark efficiency. He's dependable, low mistake, and fits the Warriors' motion-heavy system better than most reserve guards. Given Hield's inconsistent production and Seth's elite shooting profile, it's no surprise that many around the league view this move as a potential shift in the Warriors' rotation hierarchy. If Seth finds his rhythm quickly, and history suggests he will, Buddy Hield may be the player with the most to lose as Golden State recalibrates its backcourt minutes. The timing of Seth's signing also highlights the Warriors' growing urgency. Golden State has struggled to maintain offensive consistency beyond Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler, and opposing defenses have increasingly collapsed on their primary scorers. Adding a proven floor spacer like Seth is not just a luxury, it's a strategic adjustment the team hopes will stabilize their second unit and ease the offensive burden on their stars. Internally, the move has sparked conversations about lineup versatility. Coaches have discussed using Seth in lineups that feature two ball handlers, allowing him to operate off screens while Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green initiate the offense. This is an area where Hield has had difficulty adapting. Golden State's motion-based offense requires quick reads, constant movement, and minimal isolation play. Seth's discipline, efficiency, and understanding of spacing fit more naturally into that structure. The signing has also generated quiet debate around the league. Executives observing the situation believe Golden State's decision signals a shift toward experience and reliability rather than potential upside. While Hield is still viewed as a valuable scorer, his inconsistency has made it harder for the coaching staff to depend on him in tightly contested games. Seth, on the other hand, has built a reputation as someone who rarely makes mistakes, plays within his role, and consistently hits the shots defenses give him. There's also the chemistry factor. Seth has been around the Warriors' environment for years through Steven, and he understands the culture, expectations, and style of play more intimately than most new additions. Several team staff members expect him to integrate quickly, particularly alongside veterans who value precision and accountability. Meanwhile, Hield's situation becomes increasingly complicated. League analysts have speculated that his diminishing role could lead to conversations about his long-term fit with the team. Some have suggested that if Seth thrives, Hield could become a potential trade asset as the Warriors look to balance the roster later in the season. For now, the organization has not made any public indications of such plans, but the scrutiny surrounding Hield's play has intensified. The Warriors are entering a decisive stretch of their schedule, with matchups against strong Western Conference opponents looming. Seth's addition may serve as a spark, giving Golden State another reliable scoring threat in key moments. But it also raises questions about the rotation, roles, and expectations moving forward. If Seth delivers at the level the Warriors anticipate, the team's bench could suddenly transform from a weakness into a competitive advantage, and the pressure on players like Buddy Hield will only increase. Golden State is betting that the Curry brothers' reunion will not only be historic but also a turning point in their season, pushing the team toward greater stability and sharper execution as the playoff race tightens.